Hi, good morning. Sound working? Yeah, sound seems to be working. And I say good morning, it's morning here. Don't know where it is where you are. So, kind of fresh out of the shower. I want to kill some time before I go out for a walk at lunch. And I wanted to mess some more with a little project that I started towards the end of last week. Maybe sort of mid last week, which is a thing I've called Natter. Which is a very simple client for Ollama. I've been mucking around with that on my Mac Mini. With no real aim, no real point, just cause, really. And yeah, I started building a terminal-based client using Python and Textual, unsurprisingly. And I'm just mucking about with that and getting a feel for where it takes me. It's one of those projects where, if I compare it with Tinboard, for example, which is my client for Pinboard, I knew exactly what I wanted from that. I knew exactly the design I wanted. I knew exactly what features I wanted it to have, at least in its first incarnation. And so I was really quite focused with that. Got to a very specific design quite quickly. With this is more of a doodle project. I'm just kind of tinkering with code, messing in the editor and seeing where it takes me. I'm going to carry on with that. So there's one thing I want to tackle pretty quickly. I need a terminal. Where's my terminal gone? There it is. There was an issue with that I ran into that I've literally actually turned into an issue subsequently. And that is the problem of... So when I streamed working on this a couple of days back, I added a thing where it would save your conversation and then reload it when you started up so you could carry on having the same conversation. At the moment, it's single conversation client. It doesn't do the thing of letting you save multiple conversations and switch backwards and forwards between them and things like that. That will come. I'm just building this up. As I say, it's a bit of a doodle project. But the problem was, it was this bit of code here. So on mounting, I'm loading up the conversation, loading it back into the vertical scroll that I'm using to hold the questions and responses and things like that. And then I wanted to do... I just grab that. I just literally wanted to scroll to the end after I'd loaded everything up. And that doesn't work. It didn't work. You watch, you'll make a liar of me now. No, it doesn't work. And I couldn't quite figure out why. And it looks ultimately like it's... Is it a bug? It's hard to say if it's exactly a bug, but maybe a shortcoming in Textual, in so much as I'm doing the onMount as an async method, and then mounting lots of essentially labels interspersed with markdown documents, mounting them into the vertical. I'm awaiting it, so that should mean that the code stops there, as it were, until everything is mounted. And then we should be able to do the scroll end, but it's not happening. Normally in this situation, a workaround is to use call next, call later, or call after refresh. I always think of those as getting increasingly desperate, but none of those worked either. So it turned out in the end that it needed a timer, like doing it after 0.05 of a second. And actually the MRE that I've created for the issue that I actually raised with Textual eventually needs, I think it's like, because I'm building a bigger document in the MRE, it needs like nearly a second pause, I think, or something like that. So I was thinking this morning that there might be a kind of a workaround for this, a slightly better way of handling this. So what I'm thinking is rather than doing all of this working on mount, what I have is I'm building the vertical scroll here. The conversation, which is what I'm populating it from, is a reactive anyway. So maybe what I should do is on initialization of this screen, load in any prior conversation. This isn't going to be scalable long term. It would make more sense to get the screen up and going, and then, because if I have lots of conversations, I'm not going to load the body of the conversations, that kind of thing, obviously. But it wouldn't make sense to delay doing this loading and everything. But I'm just trying to see, I want to see if I can work around this problem with textual not doing the scroll end properly. So my thinking is, right, don't need any of that because I know my own screen. Can do that. Then I'm going to borrow those. But in this case, it's going to be if it exists. I'm going to load in the conversation. And then I should just be able to do that. No, not quite that. Close enough. I want that. There we go. That's what I want. So I think I can then get rid of all of that. And that should do it. And now it should scroll to the end without that. Ah, okay. Oh! I still need to scroll to the end. I was getting a bit too carried away there. There we go. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. So I think that's the way to do it. So it is a little unfortunate that, I mean, it's good for most conversations. It's actually not going to be so bad, in so much as loading text. Loading a body of text in and then parsing the JSON. It's not going to be massively slow. I still ultimately would like to get the user interface up and going and then have that happen in the background kind of thing. But it does leave you with this issue of how do you actually know when all of the content of a markdown is actually finely mounted, because it looks like there's no straightforward way of doing that. But I think that's the way of fixing that for now. Do some doc strings. Right. Oh, there we go. Black getting opinionated there. Where's my... May as well reference this just to remind myself why I did this. Okay. I should probably mention as well, I only noticed this after scanning back over the previous stream, because I was getting some warnings when I was streaming last time that YouTube wasn't getting enough data, which is kind of ridiculous because I got OBS set up to just like blast YouTube with all the pixels, and I have pretty decent fiber connection as well, things like that, so there shouldn't be an issue. And I was doing stuff, and suddenly it was YouTube Studio was saying, yeah, no, we're not getting enough data. And sure enough, when I looked back at it, you could see, the audio was fine, the audio was still going, but if you watched me talking, my lips weren't fully in sync with what I was saying, and it would like pause and then go to the next frame. There was lots of frames being dropped, and it only occurred to me then, as I watched it back, that maybe a bit of background noise. Sounds like the binmen have turned up. It's Monday. I was making queries against Ollama, which uses the GPU, obviously, and OBS is using the GPU to encode stuff and that. So there was obviously a bit of a fight going on there. So if I do appear a stutter for a while, don't worry, I am human. I'm not an AI generated image that is stalling. It is just the combination of these two tools sort of fighting with each other. Right, I think anyway that's kind of, that's working fine. Give it something to think about. If it's going to have a problem, this is where it's going to be. It's really thinking about this. Is Google Maps even a library, or is this something it's dreamt up? Curious now. Anyway, what I wanted to do was, I actually did that because I wanted to make sure that, yeah, it's still scrolling at the end, it's fine. It doesn't matter how much stuff there is in there. Okay, that kind of works. Cool. There's something just as I was looking at that, I was like, oh, there's something else I should do. And I've completely forgotten what it was. Can't remember what it was. No, I did want to Ollama, yeah. That's it. I always forget what it is. I always forget if it's exit or quit. Yay! Little quick command. Right. Okay. So, a thing that I actually was thinking about doing is, it's kind of two things I want to do. and that is, so you got the questions, prompts, whatever you want to call them, are going in there, and then you got the replies, and that's basically a label, and that's basically some markdown. And I'm thinking it might be nice to be able to actually navigate through these and, you know, hit a copy button or some kind of action button, because I'm thinking with the questions / prompts or whatever, it would be good to, you know, hit enter on that and it repopulates it down there, because it could be that, you know, maybe you ask a question or you have some kind of prompt and it's not quite what you wanted, or you want to do variation on the theme, whatever, so you just want to do a quick edit, and it's going to be a right pain to, you know, mark and copy and this and that and the other, and we know the problems with that kind of thing in the terminal anyway. So it would make sense to be able to cursor up and, I don't know, hit enter on one of these, and then it goes back down here. What would be nice would be to be able to just like hit cursor up and it goes through the previous ones that you've done. Actually, that's a thought. I can't do that in that this is a little text area down here, so you want to be able to cursor up and down through that. I suppose could get into a load of nonsense, like if you cursor up when you're on the top line, it goes to the previous thing, you know, previous prompt or something like that, but I'm not sure I quite like that. Again, I'm building this for my own use, just for, you know, shits and giggles kind of thing. But I've got half a mind on what's a decent usable experience, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm thinking about that. Oh, I'm on the limited edition Iron Brew today as well. I don't know if that's going to show up. But they're doing different flavours. So this is a berry flavour. It's actually really nice. I also got a strawberry milkshake or something like that. Goodness knows. I haven't tried that one yet. We'll see what that one's like. Right. So, I think the thing I'll start with is, and obviously I'm doing all these edits on main. I'm not doing this in a branch or anything like that. Again, this is like a scratch pad app that I'm just mucking about with. Once it settles down and I'm happy with the way things are, I'll probably start taking a more sensible approach to working on this. There's a whole bunch of things I want to do, you know, like the ability to change the model and all that kind of stuff and everything. And the whole technical side of the UI, the way the code it hangs together and everything, that would, you know, that could do with an improvement as well. So I'll probably get around to doing that at some point. But that's once it's all settled down, and I'm happy with the way it's going. So right, what I was thinking of doing was, so it's basically the outputs. So as I said, the replies, you know, the agent replies, markdowns. It's the user replies I'm interested in. So I'm thinking, do excuse me. I'm thinking I'll make them so they can be focused. So I'm going to need to do some style changes, because now the focus is, you can't see it, but the focus is going in there. So what I'm thinking is, I think that that's interesting. When right, yes, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. I really do, honest. So the cursor's going to, the focus is going to the vertical scroll before it's going into the stuff inside. So I just need to tell the vertical scroll right, this is a good point to add a class of its own, I think. Containers. Vertical scroll. So I'm going to have a widget called output that inherits from vertical scroll. And I'm going to say can focus is false. Right, just do that for a second. Actually, make sure it gets exported. Oh, I can type. It's a Monday morning. What do you expect? Oh, I can type. Honest. Right, there we go. So let's start moving some of this stuff over. I don't know what I wanted to do. There we go. Forgot to try again. I forgot to turn Do Not Disturb on, so I should stop getting all the notifications on my devices around me. Less distracting that way. Right, and then I'm going to leave the actual styling of the focus and all that kind of stuff. In the main screen, because this is a styling that's been done amongst different widgets. So rather than repeating everything in, I don't know, maybe I should, I just accept it's a style approach. No, I'm going to leave it there for a moment. No. Okay. I decided. I'm going to do it in the actual widgets. So I'm going to set the border and everything for the user input here as well. Do that there. So do excuse me, it's a problem. It's a problem with drinking fizzy drinks. Gotta have my iron brew though. I want to I'm actually going to make this focusable as well. I'm going to go in and do that now. Right, it's probably going to look like garbage. Close. Now, the focus went somewhere where I wasn't expecting. Also, I need to set the border on those properly. User input. Border none. Is this a default CSS fighting thing? I should have no border. Just force the issue there for a second. Okay. Yeah. I think this is a little bug in textual again. It makes sense to me that if I say border none on the user input here and then say, oh, and by the way, when I have focus, do the left, it feels like this should inherit from, you know, what's going on up here. But actually this focus styling, that border left is going to be applied to whatever the focus border is. I can't decide if that makes sense or not. I just kind of feel like you should be setting the default here, and then the pseudo class and maybe even ID changes and class changes and things like that should sort of override that. But whatever, that works. I can be on board either way. Right. The next thing I need to do is swap this out. Don't want vertical scroll there anymore. Go. That's more like it. I don't like this little jumping, so there should be a blank border here, is the idea. So I just need to set default border somewhere. Oh yeah, I just literally haven't. I just need that on all of these. I want it for the error as well, even though I'm not going to allow the error to be focused, at least not for the moment. That needs to be on there. There we go. That's the effect I was after. Oh, where's focus gone? Focus has gone somewhere. Ah, I didn't scroll back to the top. Ha! Interesting. It's not scrolling to focus when I first transition into a focusable widget in the container. That feels like is that something I've done wrong? I feel like it should just do that. Might have to make a note to try and do an MRE for that. That's kind of weird. Actually, let's do an MRE for that now. Going off on a sidetrack. So, we want to... Really? Really? vertical scroll, and we're going to have let's have a label. Going to do that, and then what I'm actually going to do is and let me think. And then I'm going to put I'll put an input at the bottom. Oop. Second focus is false. I went to change it to true and still typed false, like for Pete's sake. Right, cool. We want to say, oh no. Hang on. No, I did want that. That's what I wanted. Excuse me. Don't need that anymore. Right, that's fine. So I then, as the final act, need to go autofocus equals start off with the input. Oh, I didn't scroll to end. I did it again. Scroll end, there we go. No animation, none of that nonsense. That went straight there. So this is the power of an MRE. Definitely the power of an MRE in that. Ah, there we go. Ah. So it's scrolled to the bottom. I've focused into the first. So if I actually scroll it by hand, it's definitely focused on that, but it didn't actually scroll it into focus. Scroll it into view, I should say. Right, the first one is focused, but it hasn't scrolled into view. That seems like a little bug. That seems like a little bug. Because this feels like a reasonable setup. This feels like a reasonable thing to do. I wonder if it's because I've made the vertical scroll non-focusable. Shall I go on a side quest to raise this as an issue? Not very visible, is it? There we go. So it's not every time. It's not every time. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. I'd end up... I think the only way of illustrating this is going to be with a video. I mean, obviously with the code and everything, but the only way of illustrating this is going to be with a video. Because, yeah, this is the problem with this kind of MRE, obviously, in that if it's not consistent, if it doesn't happen every time, if it doesn't happen in a way that you could essentially write the code and be completely hands-off and it would show the problem just, you know, under automation, then it becomes a bit trickier. The code gives you a framework to play with. I mean, I've had this one before where I've created an issue with some code, but you've got to give a slightly wishy-washy explanation because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it could be that it is something to do with your machine. I've definitely seen things where there's been an intermittent issue on Windows, but never seen it on Linux, never seen it on Mac OS, that kind of thing. Yeah, definitely run into that one before. And they can be a little bit tricky to write MREs for. Okay, I'm not going to dive into that right now, but I think I will raise that as an issue later. Right, what was I doing? I was doing that. Where am I? Yes, that was it. Needed to remind myself what I was doing then. So I got my focus thing going. So that's good. So let's go with that. And then, just as this is definitely an example of this kind of doodle thing I'm on about. I'm thinking what I'll do is create a yeah, look. will be I'll have that binding. Something like that. It's going to work first time. Totally going to work first time. Yeah, I do have that there. So what are they going to say? Nope, didn't want that, wanted that. It's going to work. I have faith. Oh, if I could type. So I want it. Didn't work. Damn it. Why didn't that work? What did I... Oh! Helps if I actually wire it all up, doesn't it? Dol. Yay! I need to set focus. Words. Need to set focus back in there as well. Yay, that worked. I should probably, I don't know, should I put it to the end of the document, the cursor? Should I put the cursor at the end of the document? Not sure which is the best place to put it. Like either position makes sense, really, doesn't it? Oh. Oh. What just happened there? Oh, no, that made sense. That big scroll threw me. Also, I need to change the background colour of the words and things. Need to check the background colour of the loading indicator, busy indicator. When this event happens, I should scroll this to the end as well. Thinking about it. Let's try that. Yeah, that makes sense. That's less jarring. Hi, I'm trying to read that. Motif integral. Bro, how old are you? I get this question a lot, funnily enough. Just 1 second. Right. We should be back up and going. I think it was just pausing. I got the error of YouTube not receiving enough data because Ollama was doing its thing, and then it starts complaining. Yeah, funny enough, I get this question a lot. Mostly, oh, excuse me, I'm just going to cough. I do a lot of game streaming. I record a lot of games, not on this channel, but if you look at the bottom of this channel, you'll see a link to my main channel, depending on how you view it. So I play and record a lot of VR games, so they're uploaded daily. And over the last 3 or 4 months, I've been doing a lot of streaming in the evenings, just playing games on my PlayStation 5. Done Cyberpunk 2077, did a replay of Death Stranding, director's cut this time, and at the moment I'm doing a replay of GTA 5. The last 2 in anticipation of Death Stranding 2 and GTA 6 coming out at some point in the next 2 years. And a common question I get asked, I get people turning up and they're like, oh, how old are you? You sound really old. You sound like, oh, are you like 30 or something like that, which sort of betrays maybe how old some of my audience is. To answer your question, I'm 56, and maybe visually that's more believable, but there's just like something about when I'm actually streaming, and I don't stream with a face camera or whatever because it's just gameplay and it's just me talking over the top of it, and no one ever seems to believe me. And I don't know if it's like weirdly I come across as having a younger voice. Internally I can't hear that. I sound like a 50-something talking in my head. Or people just can't believe that like some old dude plays games or something. So it's just funny that you'd ask that question, basically. And you're quite correct. He also, or they also, I should say, suggest that I should drink water. I really should, but Iron Brew. You can't go wrong with Iron Brew. Iron Brew is the best drink. Right, anyway, what was I doing? So, that makes sense. I can now cursor up to these. Well, not cursor up. I'm not cursoring up at the moment. I can tab up to them and press enter on one of those, and it puts me in an edit state. So that's kind of handy. That feels good. So let's do that. I just need to do a couple of doc strings. That works. That makes sense. Anyway, hello, by the way. Hope you're having a good day and all that kind of stuff. What do you think if Apple starts making gaming laps and PCs? That's a good question. My gaming tends to be on Windows and PlayStation. That's what I tend. I'm very much into. Don't know if you can see it down there. Very much into VR. So I have a PC VR setup. I'm still using the Quest 2. I want to upgrade the headset at some point soon. Trying to decide if I'm going to go for a Quest 3 or if I'm going to wait for Decard. The much fabled Index 2 from Valve, which is starting to feel a bit like waiting for Half-Life 3. But yeah, it's a Windows machine that I use for playing VR stuff generally. Do I really... It's an interesting one because, of course, it's sat in front of me right now. What I'm coding on, what I'm streaming and everything from is a Mac Mini with an M2 Pro chip inside it. And I got to say, I don't really do that much gaming on it, but it's capable of running games. For many years, I've loved tinkering in Second Life. So these days, when I go in and muck around in Second Life and I build stuff, I run it on there. I've got the Steam client installed on here. I have played a couple of games. John Wick Hex I've played on this. There was something else I played on it. I can't remember what it was. Civilization. Sid Meier's Civilization. I mucked about with that a little bit. And it runs fine. And of course you can actually get Death Stranding now as well. And from what I can gather, that runs perfectly fine. So I'm not even sure it's a case of, what if Apple starts making gaming laptops and PCs, because you can, certainly with the Apple Silicon stuff, you can definitely game. The GPU performance on those things seems perfectly adequate. Obviously, it does raise the question of, if you took that money that you spent on, the money I spent on this Mac Mini, I could have got a way more powerful Windows machine in terms of gaming performance and stuff like that. On the other hand, I do like my Apple gear and things like that, so it's, make that call. Right, what was it doing? There we go. Right, so we can now edit the user input. The next thing I want to do is, so it kind of makes sense that when you highlight one of these, you get to copy it to the clipboard. I'm just wondering, because hitting enter, I don't know, let me think. I don't see that there's a reason or a need to be able to populate the input with the output. That doesn't seem to make sense. And using enter to copy the content of the output to the clipboard also kind of doesn't make sense, I think. So what I'm thinking is I might make C, for example, when you're on an input, it will copy to the clipboard, and if you're on that, it'll copy that to the clipboard. That makes more sense, I think. So I'm getting to the point as well where I'm going to have similar code going on here. But we'll go with it for now. Again, this is a doodle. It's all a doodle. And then at some point I'll tidy it all up. So I want that. I can spell. And now textual these days has its own copy to clipboard thing. It does have the downside it's not supported on every terminal. The Mac terminal won't support that. So in one of my apps, for example, I do, in Tinboard, I think, I've got it where you can copy stuff to the clipboard. I've taken a belt and braces approach where I still use Paperclip. And so I copy it to the clipboard with that, and I copy it to the clipboard with this. And so if this fails, it still will have made it into the clipboard. But doing both of them gives you the advantage of, if Textual's approach to copying to the clipboard fails, it will probably still work thanks to Paperclip. On the other hand, if you're copying to the clipboard, but you're over some remote session, and you're in a situation where this approach works, the thing you're trying to copy to the clipboard will make it all the way back to the remote. It may inadvertently end up in the clipboard on the machine you're remoted into, but that doesn't matter. You get the best of both worlds. I'll probably add that to this at some point, but I'm not going to care about that too much now. Right, and then I want to do pretty much the same thing here. I don't like this copy and paste approach. It would be nice to do it as a mixin maybe. Right, so if I go there and hit copy on there, then go there and yay! That was a risky paste. Who knows what could have had in my clipboard if it had failed. So that worked. And also if I hit C on there, worked. Cool. Kind of deserves a little notification again, and I don't like this duplication thing. We'll make it relevant. There we go. Yay! Cool. That works. That works, that works, that works. Now, a thing I would like to do is add the ability to like save the whole thing, for example. Again, at the moment, it is just a case of I'm just storing the current conversation just in a JSON document in a data directory. And it's just one long document. You just keep having this conversation, or you reset it and start again. I will move to a more multi-conversation model. Let's have a look. Lost my cursor. Yeah, like this kind of thing. This was a client I found for Ollama that you can even select the model, and I've only got Llama 3 installed at the moment, and then yeah, the usual kind of thing. Yeah, and I can start a new chat, and so that the previous conversations would be down here, and you can switch between them and stuff like that. I don't know. Can you change the model? Yeah, I don't think you can change the model or anything like that once it's underway. So that kind of setup, you can easily see how this could eventually turn into this kind of thing. You'll have the little pop out from the side or something like that. That's my idea. But I'm not bothering with that at the moment because I'm, just making more of a point of tinkering with just the general approach and what kind of features I want to add to this. Right. what do I want to do next? I think doing a save thing would be kind of handy. Which means I want to be able to, yeah. Let's throw in one of my own libraries. Not sure I can remember how to use it, mind, it's been a moment. And then I'm going to do something. What am I going to do? I'm going to do a thing. Going to have a save command. Oh, I've already got a method called save conversation. I call it save conversation text. Dull. Oh, that's annoying. Why is that there? That was never a thing. Right. I think that's that. Actually, I think what I can do is no. I'm going to have to remind myself how to use that library. It's a moment. They are just screens, aren't they? Yeah. I'm going to try and do it this way this time. Yeah, it comes back as, yeah, that. Cool. Okay. So we can say that didn't work. Yeah. I've given it the parameter, but I haven't given it the that. What an idiot. There we go. Yay, that's more like it. That's more like it. That's what we want to see. So, let's make sure I'm doing this right. Yep, no save. And that was save. Right, cool. So, yeah, I'm going to do it as a markdown, I think. I think that makes sense. Rather than do everything inside an if, we'll just go the other way. We'll say if the user backed out, we shall back out ourselves. So I kind of want to go kind of want to model it on this really, don't I? So I'm going to go through the output, but this time I'm going to yeah, no, that works. What I'm going to do is kind of cheat a little bit, and then it's just going to be the widget's raw text should do it. Going to be like that. And then we shall that's kind of it. Minus any number of things to do error checking and all that kind of stuff that will come later. That kind of thing. What do we think? What do we think? Hey! Actually worked. Ish. Oh, hang on. Not quite. I've only got the one header. Why have I only got the one header? Oh, I see why. I see why. I see why. That's what I needed. That's it. There we go. That gives you a nice little markdown document of the conversation that's taking place. Again, it's a bit quick and dirty, but I think it's one of those things that shows the power of using something like Python code and a bit of textual and everything to actually get a reasonable UI up and going, so you can experiment and prototype stuff quite quickly. That's not to say that textual's only good for prototyping, but it can be a great little tool for quickly prototyping some kind of user interface to test stuff out. Right. Do I like that? Kind of like that. But I think what I will do is I wanted to borrow this. Also, I shouldn't do that. I should start in the current directory and borrow the filters. I want some filters. Yeah, it comes in from there as well. Kind of like that. And you sort out these. Yeah, it's there. I mean, black will sort it out for me anyway. Oh, the fact that that's gone grey is a bit ominous. Hang on a second. I'm really confusing myself here. That's you. Where do you belong? You belong there. There we go. Why has that stayed? Ah. There we go. Ah. It's because of that. Might need to visit that. Right, I want to set a default default extension as well. I can't remember if I added support for that. Did I add support for that? That would seem like a sensible thing. It looks like it didn't. That's a curious thing. I should probably do that. I genuinely thought I had done that. Yeah, it doesn't look like I did. Yeah, actually surprised by that. Just trying to remember. Is there a way with Pathlib of setting... I can't remember if Pathlib has a way of setting a default. Extension. As is just the with suffix. Gonna have to remind myself now. No, that overrides it. Excuse me. Changes the existing one. Suppose the thing is it just suffix? Can you remember? Okay, we'll do that. We'll say, excuse me. Do that, default it that way. I think that's the thing I need to add to my library. So I'll call it test. I'm not going to give it an extension. I'm going to say save, and it gave it that. I'll call it test.txt this time, and that worked. Cool. That works. Excuse me. There we go. That works. Getting a bit of a dry throat. For quite a while I was... oh, excuse me. Sure, that's a bit better. Yeah, it's a bit better. For quite a while, I wasn't that won over by this push screen wait thing. I always much preferred the callback. I felt it was a little bit tidier, a little bit more flexible. But more and more, I'm actually finding that this works out quite well. Yeah, there is the thing, you have to remember to make sure that you make the method async, and you have to remember to actually do it as a worker as well. But those couple of little things aside, it does work quite tidily because you can see all in one place what the code's doing. You know, we're calling up the modal dialog that asks the user where they want to save the thing, and then we're actually going and doing the save. You know, makes it nice and easy. Cool. Well, that's a couple of fixed a little or worked around a little bugette that seems to be in textual itself, and added a couple of handy little features. You know, I've got the ability to edit the prompt now by just going up to it and pulling it in like that. I can copy stuff to the clipboard. Maybe I should have a thing that copies the whole conversation, actually. That's not quite so straightforward in so much as if you're going to do that, you're most likely going to be doing it inside the edit. I should also have a quick key for getting down to the edit. I should make it like escape or something. Oh, now I need it to do as well. Right, a couple of things. I need to set the background colour of the loading indicator for reasons. I think that's the problem, actually. There we go, I fixed it. Okay. I think comedians have less to worry about than most other people when it comes to large language models. Okay, that fixes that. And there was one other thing I was just going to quickly do. I saw something and thought, oh, I should do that. And oh yes, I was thinking why should I do that? I'll do the binding here. Oops. So in this case, I'm going to just do, actually I'll say, so for anywhere other than user input, we're going to focus there. And we'll scroll back to the bottom of the output. That's about that. Hit escape. There we go. Go back to the input. That feels right. So it's a bit like doing that as well. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Cool. Actually, I'm going to go on further because this is I like bouncing on the hey Rage edits. What am I making? What am I making? Good question. So I am mucking about with a very simple, built for my own fun text client, terminal-based client for, at the moment, Ollama. So, just a very simple thing we can go through. So let's go. Oh, I spelled your name wrong. Or typed it wrong anyway. But yeah, so this is it's just a simple wrapper around the words and things. I can think of words. It's a simple wrapper around the Ollama Python client library, using textual just to build the user interface, and it's literally I'm just doodling with it. So like yeah, all the usual kind of thing. Just showing off now. It just keeps going on and on and on. So yeah, that's what I'm making, and doing little things like today I've been adding the ability to add a save, so I can actually go and save the conversation as a markdown document, that kind of stuff, or come through, scroll through it, and say, let's copy that to the clipboard, and then we'll go over here. And then there, there's the that answer that it gave me. I copied it to the clipboard and now, paste it into my Scratch buffer in Emacs, that kind of thing. So just, do I have a GitHub profile? Do I have a GitHub profile? Yes, I do. I'm github.com/DaveP. Actually, I'll type that in the chat. Oh, if I could type. There you go. That's where I live on GitHub. I have a couple of things there. Right, what was I doing? I've forgotten the last thing. Oh, that was it. I was doing the jump thing, wasn't I? And the code for this is up there as well. So feel free to have a look at it and muck about with it and stuff. I can't type. I can tell it's getting close to lunchtime. go. And then the other thing I wanted to do is I'm a big fan of being able to get out very quickly just by bouncing on the escape key. So let's check that works. So if I go there, press escape, it goes back to the input, press escape again, yay, closes down. That's nice. I like that. I like being able to do that in my own apps. Okay, right, well, I've been at this for about 90 minutes. It's just gone midday. I really should... Oh, you needed some advice. Feel free to ask. I'm about to disappear, but if you just want to quickly ask a question, if I can help, I will. What do you need help with? I'll take a drink while I'm waiting. I realise there's always a lag as well with chat and the video and things. Right, well, anyway, as I was saying, yeah, if you want to ask a question in a moment, I'll try and answer that. But I think that's me done with this for, well, certainly this little session anyway. Actually got a good few things done. Where was I going? There we go. So yeah, what I managed to do there was sort of work around that little issue with the scroll to end not working that well. So I got what I think is a nice way of doing that. I can now focus my way through the actual document and re-edit things and copy things and stuff like that. What else did I do? I can now save a conversation as markdown, that kind of thing. So yeah, I did a few little things in that time. So Rage's question is, I want to become a good ass coder, and I right now know how to use HTML, CSS, a bit of Python and MySQL. 18 years old right now. Good place to start. Definitely a good place to start. So I'm just going to hang on for the question in a moment. I do, I'm quite envious of, I'm going to sound like an old fart now, but I am quite envious of younger folk these days, because there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff available. You know, back when I was learning a program, and you know, I'm kind of self-taught. There was magazines and books if you were lucky. You know, this is back in the 1980s. So the question is what to learn next after JavaScript? Well, that's my general advice. I suppose it depends on what your intention is and what it is you're actually wanting to do. Just in terms of, are you wanting to do this to try and get a paid position as quickly as possible, that kind of thing? Or is it more you want to acquire the skills? You know, you want to spend some time acquiring the skills to actually program in general. My general advice is, if you're not trying to learn, or if you're not trying to build a CV that has very specific things listed on it, so you can actually just go and start working. Oh, you want to be employed at a FANG company. I suspect the only thing you're ever going to be able to do to help yourself there is to go and get a computer science degree, to the best of my knowledge. The idea of most people getting into those kinds of companies without a really decent computer science degree seems unlikely in my experience and knowledge. It's not something I've ever. I did get hassled by a recruiter from Google, sort of back in the late 1990s, I think it was. But that was, we need someone to come and work in a data center in London, of all places. With Linux experience and stuff like that. Wasn't that interested in that. If that's what you want to do, I'd say get your ass on a decent computer science degree course and learn languages. Can I ask you questions on your Instagram? Would I answer? I don't really use Instagram, so yeah, it's probably not the best place for that. Can't remember the last time. I just post the odd photo to Instagram. That's about it. But yeah, the main bit of advice I would give is don't learn the tools, don't learn the technology. So don't go, I'm learning Python, I'm learning JavaScript, I'm learning Rust, I'm learning Go, that kind of thing. Initially, I would advise concentrate on learning how to think your way through problems to solutions. So concentrate on trying to get a good grasp of problem domains, and then trying to see algorithmically, shall we say, the solutions that are needed to solve those problems. Of course, it makes sense that, and I'm not suggesting that you don't need to know the fundamentals of Python. You don't need to know the fundamentals of JavaScript and stuff like that. But it's a lot easier for someone to go from one language to another, to become essentially a polyglot when it comes to languages, if you've really got a good feel for the fundamentals of writing code. Because you will notice as you carry on in your career as a software developer that, for myself, I've worked with languages ranging from BASIC and Pascal and Clipper, JavaScript, C#, C, C++. I even do stuff for fun in Lisp myself and things like that. Python, obviously, Ruby, that kind of thing. And what I tend to find is that while the paradigms in some of those languages are fundamentally different, the way you think about the problems you're solving, the way you think about how you're going to implement a solution, kind of carries over. It becomes a habitual way of thinking. When you look at a problem, you habitually think, how would I go about solving this? And that's true from the micro up to the macro in terms of a given algorithm that you need to implement. You'll be thinking about the most efficient way of doing it, and then how do I do it in this language, that kind of thing. It's probably the best advice I can give, really. And, talk to your teachers, talk to your lecturers, look at people's code, read code, get yourself on GitHub if you're not already, and read code. Read lots of code. Read code in languages you know well, read code in languages you don't know at all. Especially get excited about the code that you're reading. It makes no sense to you whatsoever, because that's where you have a jumping off point to go and look stuff up. I definitely suggest doing that. That's about as best as advice I can give. So the question is where can I ask you questions? I don't really have that much of it. I suppose the best place, the place where I'm most engaged with people is going to be on Mastodon. I stopped using Twitter when that idiot took over and made a right mess of it. So probably the best place. I'm Dave P on fosterton.org. I recommend Fosterton. It's actually a good instance of Mastodon, especially if you're into free software and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say ask there, but also it's a good idea to ask questions in general as well. Post questions where anyone can give input, because what you should also never do is just take advice from one person. Never do that. It's always a good idea to poll for advice, to get advice off lots of people. Oh yeah, my t-shirt. Yeah, I can't remember where I got this actually. I think I got it off QWERTY, I think it was. I just saw it one day. It was for sale, and I I couldn't resist it. So yeah, my if you do want to ask me anything else, probably on Mastodon is the best place to do that. Actually, on screen right now. Where? There. No, I there. Up there. That's me on Fosterdon. And you do have a GitHub profile. Yeah, cool. But yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions if I can. But yeah, get lots of people's advice. Don't take the advice of one aging white dude. There's lots of people out there who may have different perspectives, and it's a really good idea to poll them all. I would heartily recommend doing that. Anyway, I'm going to head off now because I need to have a bit of lunch, and then I think I'm going to go for a walk. So it was good to meet you, Rage, and I'm envious. You're just starting out. That's really cool. Oh, India. Hi from Scotland. You're just starting out, and I'm envious of that because it's a great journey. And if it's something that you really have a passion for, if software development is something you really have a passion for, you've got such a fun journey ahead of you. And there's so many technologies coming along. I mean, obviously there is this issue of what's going to happen to software development as large language models improve, and will we need programmers and all that kind of stuff. These are some fascinating questions to which I don't really know I have well-formed opinions, let alone answers, but depending on how that potential threat plays out to software development as a practice, you're going to have some fun. You are really going to have some fun, and VR as well. I love playing with VR. I'm a big fan of VR. I think, as I said earlier, someone else, I got a VR setup and all that kind of stuff. I like that. I wish I was back at your age and was getting into, had the option to get into coding VR and all that kind of stuff. That'd be great. Right, you got me waffling, which isn't difficult, but I'm going to head off. So, as I was saying, it's great to meet you, Rage. And for anyone else out there who's watching, thanks for watching as well. And for anyone who watches this recording at some point in the future, thanks for watching that as well. And goodbye.